Namaste, everybody. Namaste, Pooja.
Namaste, sir.
Let us get started.
All right, so welcome everybody. My name is Pooja Keswani and I'm one of the founders of Sattva, which is our initiative towards spreading awareness on how do we live a healthy and happy life with natural diet and lifestyle. So topic for today's session is art of managing stress. And our speaker for today is Dr. Vikram Patarkine, who is our mentor in Sattva. He's based out of Pennsylvania, US, and is a follower and promoter of natural diet. He has mentored many who are keen to learn how to live a healthy and medicine free life. He has conducted various sessions on natural diet and lifestyle, importance of yoga, and Bhagavad Gita teachings. He's also a student of application of Vedanta principles in our daily lives. With that, I hand it over to Dr. Vikram, who will talk to us about how do we manage stress in our lives. Over to you, sir.
Namaste, Pooja. Namaste, everybody. Thank you for the introduction. We can mute everybody. And if people want to ask any questions, they have to raise their hands. Then we will allow them to unmute and then they can ask questions. So that's how we will proceed. I'm going to try to make a 15 to 20-minute presentation. So if Pooja, you can allow me to be a co-host and allow me to share my screen, then I can do that. I'm delighted to see all of you here. It's a very pleasant morning here where I am in Pennsylvania. I hope it's the same with you wherever you are in the world. If you are in Bharat, it's a beautiful evening, I hope. I'll do the presentation for about 20-25 minutes and thereafter we will take any questions. So you should see on the screen, the title screen which says Art of Managing Stress in Entrepreneurial Journey. All right. So many of you may be entrepreneurs and many of you may not be entrepreneurs, but some of the principles we will talk about or we will discuss are applicable to everybody, not just entrepreneurs. Before I start my presentation, I always like to give a disclaimer that the material that's presented here is only for information and not intended to be a critique on anyone's belief system. So if you believe differently from me, that's completely okay. I don't expect you to agree with everything I say. I'm only sharing my personal experience. So whatever is applicable for your situation from what I'm presenting is what you should accept and try to implement in your life. If something does not suit you or you don't agree with, don't worry. I'm telling you the truth the way I see it. You may see truth differently. So you should believe nobody. You should only trust your own experience. So whatever you have heard from me or whatever you hear from anybody, you try to experiment with it, try to implement that in your life, and then see whether it makes sense or not. Otherwise, there is no reason for you to believe anybody. So this is the presentation outline. We will talk about, since we have talked about entrepreneur and how to control stress. So we'll talk about what is an or who is an entrepreneur, what is a business, and what is stress. What is stress? Why is it caused? And how to control it. And I'm going to make a presentation on how the leader, how the entrepreneur can manage himself through lifestyle management, the way I have learned, and I'm happy to share that with you. Then I'll also share with you a testimonial. I hope the person whose testimonial I'm going to share is here with us today, and some final remarks. So let's see if we can finish this in about 20 minutes or so. So who's an entrepreneur? He's a person who organizes and operates a business or businesses taking on greater than normal financial risk. That's who we think of as an entrepreneur. All right. So what is a business? The word business itself comes from the word busy, which means doing things. Typically, we understand a business as providing goods and services to customers to earn money. That's how typically we understand a business to be, right? It's an organization where people work together, where giving the best quality product to the customers should be our motto, ideally, in the ideal world. And of course, the business has to be in sync with society and environment. So if my business happens to be extortion, then that business is of course not a good business to be in, right? So what is stress? Stress is a feeling of emotional or physical tension that happens to us basically because things are not happening the way we expect. Can come from any event or thought that makes us feel frustrated, angry, nervous. So these are some of the standard things you will read anywhere. It's the body and mind's reaction to challenge or demand. And one friend told me, and I agree with him, that stress can be useful. He told me that if there is stress, then I perform better. Yes, in short bursts, it can be positive. It helps us meet a deadline or to avoid danger. Okay, if you're not stressed at all, if you're in a danger, then being not stressful is not a virtue. So you have to have some stress, but it cannot go beyond a certain limit. So, what are the causes typically in an enterprise or for an entrepreneur? You see, things don't happen as expected. They don't happen as expected 100% of the time. So, sometimes we will have things go our way, and at other times, things will not go our way. So, what doesn't go our way? We are always stressed because of revenues. So if revenues are good, great. If revenues are not good, that's a cause of tension. If revenues are good, then we have to figure out how to save our taxes. So the person who is poor, he is miserable because he doesn't have money. The person who is rich, he is miserable because he has to pay taxes. So therefore, being miserable or being stressful can depend upon us also. Okay. Another cause of stress is, of course, expenses. We have to control expenses, especially when revenues are tight. The entrepreneur has to do multitasking. During multitasking, the entrepreneur can be stressed, does get stressed. We have to take decisions. The entrepreneur has to make decisions. All right. Decisions can be regarding money, can be regarding hiring somebody or firing somebody, can be regarding a presentation he wants to make to a client. We can also be stressed because of colleagues. The person I'm working with or the person working under me doesn't listen to me. Okay. In that case, how do I make sure that that person is on the same page as I am with respect to the entrepreneurial or the motive or the mission of the environment of the enterprise itself, not environment? Then I can be stressed because of clients. Some of my clients are very challenging. They don't listen to me, or they don't agree with the advice I give them. They don't behave the way I suggest. Then what do I do? See, if that stresses me out, then I'm not a good entrepreneur. Okay. I can always be stressed with competition. When I look at competition, then I can be stressed whether that enterprise or that business is doing better than I'm doing. That can be a cause of stress. And also contingencies. So contingencies can be like the corona itself. So in the last 8 months, we have not been able to conduct our business the way we used to at one time. Okay, we have had to change the way we do business. So this can be a cause of stress also. All right, so how do you control stress? See, take a step back, take a deep breath. Okay, consider the problems and look at them and identify them. Okay, don't ignore or think or wish the problems to go away. If the problems exist, then look at them head on, tackle them head on, identify them and say that yes, they are there. Don't be in a denial mode. Then to solve the problem, we don't have to solve everything by ourselves. Okay. If I am a sole entrepreneur, if I am a sole proprietor and I don't have a team, then of course I have to do all of these things myself. But if I have a team, then I have to delegate responsibilities. To whom? To the person who is capable of handling that responsibility. So that is the wisdom I need to have as an entrepreneur. Okay. If I don't understand something, if I have a real genuine problem, then I should seek help. Okay. So identify somebody who can help me, who can take a look at this whole problem from a bit of a distance and then advise me. Somebody who has gone through similar experiences. So if I have a problem with a specific aspect of my business, then I should look at somebody or I should seek out somebody who has gone through a similar issue in their business. So find a mentor, okay, and seek help from a mentor. You see, because now the things I'm going to talk about hereafter are mainly focused on the entrepreneur, on the person, because you see, this whole world, including our business, including our enterprise, is basically an expansion of our own selves. So my business is an expansion of myself. And our tendency, human tendency, my tendency is always to expand. So even the business, I would like always to expand. How much to expand? See, ideally in today's world, see, if we say that the entire humanity is my client or my customer, then I should ideally be engaged in any business that can serve or service the entire 7.5 billion population of the world. Okay. But while doing that, I have to also make sure, if I want to be peaceful from within, and if I want the business to succeed, see, the business can succeed only if I am successful from within. If I am in sync within, only then can my enterprise or my business succeed. Okay. Is the business expansion in sync with the society and the environment? Because see, I'm not apart from, or the enterprise is not apart from the society. I'm a part of the society. I'm also a part of the environment. So therefore, am I in sync with these or am I out of sync with these? Only if I am in sync with these, then can I have a sustainable business. Otherwise, I cannot. Okay. Now you see, profit is a must, but should profit be the only motive? Is my business actually providing a service that is worthwhile to my customers, to my 7.5 billion potential customers? We have to think of these things when we are trying to solve this problem of stress. So how to control that? We have to see, as I said, the leader, the entrepreneur has to be stable, has to be balanced from within. So he has to adopt and maintain a healthy lifestyle for being healthy, keeping balance of mind. And because of that, and through that, and only through that, can we achieve optimum performance. I cannot expect to perform optimally if I'm not healthy and my mind is not balanced. Okay? Only such a leader can lead a successful business who is peaceful from within, who is balanced within. And only a person or an individual like this can lead or can contribute to a peaceful society and also to a sustainable environment. All right, so how do we do lifestyle management? This is what I personally advise, and we advise through the enterprise of which we are a part, which is Sattva. We advise people on maintaining vibrant health through a healthy diet and regular exercise. So we look at people's existing habits, dietary preferences, and we try to bring them to a healthier lifestyle. We also lead yoga sessions. I personally lead yoga sessions every morning. That helps us clarify our mind through yoga, through breathing techniques, and through meditation. So these are the techniques through which we can bring a sense of balance within ourselves. And if we are balanced within ourselves, then we can be a good anybody. If I am balanced from within, then I can be a good entrepreneur, I can be a good husband, I can be a good father, I can be a good friend, I can be a good mentor. What yoga does is it helps us have a clear and sharp mind. Unless we have a clear and sharp mind, we cannot really tackle the problems we have or the stress we are feeling with respect to our enterprise, with respect to our colleagues, with respect to our clients, with respect to ourselves. Okay. Yoga can help us achieve lifelong health and fitness. Okay. I can show you some examples. And a balanced and peaceful individual alone can lead a successful business. Okay. A peaceful society and healthy environment. That's what will happen. So that's why we recommend this. see how can we achieve a balanced mind. Balanced mind can be achieved only if we have a healthy diet, because what we eat, the food we eat, will make up our body and also make up our mind. So the food impacts both the physical health as well as mental balance. So we recommend a very high percentage of, if you can make it 100%, that's great. I try to make my diet at least 95% raw or natural, produced through photosynthesis. What does that include? Fruits, soaked nuts and seeds, vegetables, sprouted grains and lentils. So these are the things we eat and we recommend people eat to maintain good health, because natural food contains enzymes useful for digestion. It is energy efficient. You see, nature expects us to be efficient. Nature does not expect us to unnecessarily waste too much energy. So when there is no additional energy input for processing the food, for cooking the food, then nature rewards us through vibrant health and excellent balance of mind. Okay. And once we get used to this kind of food, it's juicy, tasty, and full of life energy. All right. Then I was requested by somebody that we should have some takeaways from here. So the next two slides are the takeaways. The first thing is we should know the things we should not do. All right. So what should we not do? We should not eat unless hungry or drink unless thirsty. That's the first rule of life. If we follow this rule, then the next rules of life, the following rules of life, will become apparent, or they will appear within our own heart. We should not eat more than 2 meals a day as adults. After age 25, we should not eat more than 2 meals a day. We should not eat past the first burp. When we sit down to eat, when we are really hungry, if we eat quietly with concentration, in about 15 to 20 minutes, we will realize that our stomach is about half full with food and we will have a little burp, which means that at that time our stomach is half full. We should leave the rest of the space in the stomach for digestive juices and some air, so that the food can get mixed properly and churned properly within the stomach. That's the way to digest our food. Okay. We should not eat snacks between meals. We should avoid stimulants, intoxicants, drugs, refined or processed food, and animal derived products as much as we can. Okay. And we should all get good sleep. The best sleep happens between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. So we should not let go of those 4 hours of sleep. Okay. After that, if we require, we can sleep longer than that, but don't stay up past 10 p.m. ever. So maybe about 3 hours after sunset or 4 hours after sunset, you should go to bed. What are the do's? Okay, I've told you what not to do. Then what to do? We should follow a 7 days a week routine of work, exercise, meal times, recreation, and rest. Okay. We should eat 2 meals in an 8-hour window. And overnight, we should fast for 16 plus hours. Many times I eat only once a day and then fast 23 hours a day. Sometimes I do eat a third time if I'm really hungry, if I'm working out, if I'm tired, or if I have exerted a lot, then I may need to eat thrice a day, but it happens very rarely. Usually it happens only twice a day, and sometimes it is even once a day. So making sure that we eat only when we are hungry, that is the main rule. Okay. Then we eat natural, preferably local and seasonal. Okay, as best as we can, what grows locally, what grows plentifully. So this is actually good for us, because go to the market and find out what's the cheapest, because that is growing plentifully in that season locally. So buy that and make 50% of your diet to be that stuff. So during the summer, in Bharat, we get mangoes. So we should eat plenty of mangoes. During winter season, we get some other fruits. So we should eat those. If we have to cook food, if we must cook food, if we cannot live without cooked food, then cook from scratch. So start from rice, start from beans, cook them in front of you in an open pot. And then after you cook, eat within an hour. Okay. Then we should exercise regularly. We should stretch the body, because when we are on a diet like this, then we will lose weight. If we are overweight, then we will lose weight. We don't want our skin to wrinkle or sag. So stretching is very important. I personally do Surya Namaskar, which is the sun salutation, which is a very powerful exercise for the entire body, especially the spine, because our life's experience happens through our spine. You should also take up a sport or a hobby of choice. If you like cricket, I like table tennis, I play table tennis. If you want tennis, you can play whatever you want. If you just like to go for a walk, go for a walk. This is a slide of Surya Namaskar I always like to share with people. These are 10 different postures. So starting with the Namaskarasana, then you bend backwards, breathing in, bend forwards, breathing out, touch your hands to the floor next to your feet, then take one leg back, the left leg back, look up and breathe in, then the plank, breathe out, keep the breath out and do a Sashtanga Namaskar where our knees are touching the floor, the toes are touching the floor, the chest and the head is touching the floor, hands are touching the floor, nose is touching the floor, but the buttocks are not. So this is a Sashtanga Namaskar we do to the deity of our choice. After that, we come up in Bhujangasana, look up and breathe in. And we go back in Shvanasana, breathe out. And we bring the right leg up, whichever leg goes back, that leg has to come up first. So maybe I have copied this first picture and then showed you here. But whichever leg goes back first has to come up first. Then next is the Hastapadasana once again. You breathe out and then come back up and breathe in. So these are the 10 poses for Surya Namaskar. I do about 40 to 50 of those every morning, even today at my age. So to advise people on all of these things, we've started an initiative called the Sattva. Okay, Sattva, through this, we offer a 30-day program for anybody who wants to join, which is completely free of medicine or any supplements based on natural diet and lifestyle. Through this program, if you are overweight, fat loss will happen naturally and sustainably, and you will keep that fat off. We can control our lifestyle ailments. Many people who I know have reversed even their diabetes. They don't have to take medicine anymore. Allergies will disappear for sure. Our immunity is much better. So even during this entire 8-month period, I've never felt sick at all, and I've never even felt scared that I may get a disease. Okay, our mind is always relaxed. We can de-stress our mind and body with yoga and meditation rituals, and we look and feel amazing. So we teach how to enhance your life and your life experience through a natural diet and lifestyle. So that's the mission of Sattva. You're most welcome to join us and experience this for yourself in a 30-day program. If you want to continue, some of our participants, they like it so much that they want to continue. It's like being in a club. So they enjoy the company of the people they meet every day. We do yoga together. We maintain a diet balance. We maintain a diet discipline. We maintain a completely balanced body and mind. Okay. So this is the testimony of one of our participants who I hope is here. He went through a 30-day detox program. He's 59 years old from Belgaum. Started taking 50% natural food and reduced food intake based on hunger and burp signals, as I described to you earlier. Started walking 45 minutes every day and comes to yoga every day 5 minutes before the class starts. Okay. In 1 month, he lost 6 kilograms, which is more than 13 pounds of weight. And he lost more than 1.5 inches from his belly as well as hips. He feels much lighter and more energetic. His anger has reduced, which has helped him in his business. His stamina for work has increased. And he says, thanks to this detox program for changing my lifestyle. Great. We are delighted to have you here. This is the photograph, or these are the photographs of our friend Vinayakji. So initially he was much heavier, but on the right you can see this is a more recent photograph. He has shed a few pounds and he looks much healthier and better. Okay, this is my own experience. See, I myself used to be quite chubby. I was 80 kilograms or 176 pounds. Within about 3 or 4 months, I went down to 68 kilograms or 150 pounds. And this is what I used to look in February 2018. So almost for 3 years, I have maintained like that. I've maintained my weight somewhere between 65 and 69 kilograms. Okay. My blood sugar used to be a bit high. It came down. It has been normal, always between 70 and 100, pre-meal or post-meal. Even after a 23-hour fast, my blood sugar does not drop below 70. Even after I eat a big meal, it does not go beyond 100. My cholesterol used to be more than 200. It has gone down below 150. So these are the changes that have happened. My waist used to be 36 inches. Now it is 31 inches. My height is 68 inches. So ideally, our waist should be less than 50% of the height. Okay, so my waist should be less than 34. Anything less than that is great. So right now it is about 31 inches. So final remarks before I wrap up. Business is built on people. Okay. Business is only an idea. It is made up of you and me. You and me are real. Business is built on real people. A successful business is built by a successful entrepreneur, okay, who is balanced within, who is in harmony with colleagues, society, and the environment, who has a clear, sharp, and balanced mind, which can be maintained through the practice of yoga, and a vibrant physical health through natural diet and balanced lifestyle. So this is what I wanted to present. If you want to know more about what we do, you should visit sattva.life. You should email us. You should send us a WhatsApp message or contact us. These are my contact details. Happy to talk to you whenever you need to. Thank you very much for listening to me patiently. Let's take any questions or comments our participants may have.
Right. So we do have some questions that have come up, sir. So one of them is, what should be the first thing that I should do to reduce stress?
What should be the first thing you should do to reduce stress? Take a step back and take a deep breath. Identify the problem. And after that, if you cannot solve the problem yourself, you delegate to the person who can solve it, or you seek help. Okay, so that is the first thing. You see, unless I am balanced from within, I cannot take a proper decision. Okay, if I am agitated, if my mind is agitated, if I am confused, you see, that is the main problem we all have. No, we are all confused, or we get confused because we have an identity crisis. We think of ourselves as who we are not. That is the universal problem. Universal problem. For that problem, we have to turn to Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So I wanted to share only those things related to diet and yoga in the presentation itself. And then I said, okay, if there are more questions or there are deeper questions than this, then I may discuss something regarding how we can learn from the Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita, which is the essence of all knowledge there is. Okay. The entire knowledge in the world is called Veda. Veda itself means knowledge. The word Veda in Sanskrit means knowledge. The knowledge portion of the Veda is in the Upanishads or Vedanta. So towards the end of each Veda, there are Upanishads. Those Upanishads have the knowledge portion of the Veda. Those Upanishads are condensed in the Gita. So if we understand the Gita can lead us and guide us in our material life, Adi Bhautik, and Adi Daivik at the mental level, at the experience level, and the Adhyatmic life, which is the experiencer level. So it will help us realize who we truly are. When we understand who we truly are, then we can take on any role we need to take on at any point in life or any point in time. So if I know who I am fundamentally, then I can be a good entrepreneur. I can be a good anybody, a good father, a good husband, a good taxi driver, a good service provider, a good anybody. So that's how we need to progress. Initially, we need to identify the problem. We need to figure out where we are, and then we seek help. Seek help from somebody who has been on that path. So a lot of times Sadhguru Jagi Vasudev says that GPS means Guru Positioning System. So the Guru will show you the way from wherever we are. The Guru will take us or show us the way to where we need to go. But we have to go ourselves. The Guru can only show us the way. If I am a mentor, I can only show you the way based on my experience. I can only share my experience. But you have to walk the path yourself. That's how you have to do. I hope I answered the question adequately. Any other questions?
Right. So I think there's one on the chat by Dr. Goel which says how Bhagavad Gita and knowledge of Vedanta helps in stress management. And I think you covered some part of that. But do you want
Correct.
to add anything else to that?
You see, personally, I try to run my life based on the principles of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So in the Bhagavad Gita, what we learn is initially we are confused. How are we confused? We assume or imagine ourselves to be who we are not. That's our main problem. This happened to Arjun, the hero of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So on the battlefield, he forgot that he was a warrior and he assumed himself to be somebody's cousin, somebody's disciple, somebody's nephew. So those things we cannot do. So the main teaching of the Bhagavad Gita is wherever I am, whenever I am, whatever I am, I should be 100%. So therefore, right now, I am a speaker. So I need to be 100% a speaker. At this time, you are or should be 100% a listener. Whether you are or not, I don't know. If you are, then whatever I'm telling you or whatever I'm sharing with you, that will go in your mind or in your heart instantaneously and you will understand it. Okay. You will not have to go back to this presentation after some time and then try to learn what I had suggested to you. If you pay attention, if you are 100% a listener, then whatever I'm sharing with you will be understood and will be internalized instantaneously. That's what the Bhagavad Gita teaches us at the practical level.
Right. So there's another question which says, how do I know what is really stressing me? As in an entrepreneurial life, we tend to be doing a lot of multitasking and embroiled in too many things.
Correct. You see, if I'm an entrepreneur, if I'm running a business, I need to always be completely clear about the mission and the goal of the business. Okay. If I'm not clear about the goal of the business, then I myself will be confused. Okay. And if I am in confusion, then how can I be inspirational to my colleagues? I need to make sure that I am completely clear about the mission of the business. I need to be clear about how I'm going to get there. If I'm not clear about how I'm going to get there, then I seek mentorship. You see, we have to learn to walk the right path. If we don't know the right path, then we need to find out somebody who has been on that path, who can guide me, right? So that's what I should do as an entrepreneur. So what stresses me? See, I also gave you a whole slide on the kind of different things that can stress me. So there could be many things. When I'm running a business, I could be stressed out because the business is not making enough money, or the colleagues are not listening to me, or my clients are not listening to me. The clients don't pay, they don't keep promises. A lot of times what happens is you deliver a service and then you send a bill, but then the client doesn't pay on time. That also happens. That happens a lot. Okay. So we have to, in my case, what I do is I try to build a relationship with the client so that the client is happy first, accepting the advice I give. See, I work as a consultant. I work as an advisor or a mentor. So when I'm advising somebody or mentoring somebody, I want to make sure that I have experienced what I am trying to teach or what I'm trying to tell somebody. See, I know nobody will listen to me unless I'm telling them what I have experienced myself. If I experience something myself, only then can I adequately explain or describe that experience to somebody else. See, in this entire Sattva business, what we are doing is we are only trying to make people have an experience. We are not trying to sell any material, any goods or services. Okay? All we are trying to do is to share our experience so that you also can have the same experience. So once we know where we are going wrong, then we seek mentorship and we try to move in the direction which will relieve our stress. That's what we should do.
All right.
Any other
There's another
questions?
one. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So there is one which says sometimes you need stress to work. Exam,
Yes,
vigilant job. Some call this positive stress. Can you please elaborate?
yes, indeed. As I said in the very first slide or one of the first slides, I had shown you that yes, stress can be a negative thing only beyond a certain point. Stress can actually be a positive thing below a certain point. Unless there is stress, unless there is some driver, some motivation, we will not even progress, isn't it? So there has to be a goal that I want to pursue. And unless I have that goal and I have some kind of anxiety or tension in my mind that I'm going to try to reach that goal, okay, nothing will happen. So therefore, yes, stress can be a positive thing to a certain limit. But once that stress goes beyond that limit, it starts affecting my mind and my body. That should not happen. So to make sure that stress does not go beyond that point, I can manage and maintain a healthy stress. That's what this whole program is all about. So as you say, as you saw the testimonial by our friend, is he here by the way, Pooja?
Yes, Vinayak ji is here with us. Vinayak ji, you want to talk about your experience? He's also an entrepreneur.
Yes. Namaste Vinayak ji. Welcome to the program. You may unmute yourself. And Pooja, if we can start the video would be great.
Sure.
Namaste.
Namaste.
See, my name is Vinayak Kamath. I'm from the Belgaum. See, one of my nephew gave me this Kate Satwa, this channel through whom I have registered. The first day itself is my changing my lifestyle because I had one-to-one talk with Dr. Vikram Dada sir and Saili Tai. They taught me in a short time how we should lead and what is happening. So on 28th of October, definitely we had a one-to-one talk and they told me some suggestion they gave me and I started following it. And the 1st of 2nd of November, throughout the 1 month, I followed what they have said to the best of my availability. So what I did first, I had taken they told me you take your weight, waist, hips, everything. I have measured, it was 100 kgs of my weight and 44 inches of my tummy and some 42 inches of hips. So according to them, you measure and keep it to the side and then you see after a few days how it will affect. Then every week I started taking the measurements. It started reducing my weight. Now within a span of this 1 month, I have reduced to 6 kgs. I have become from 100 kgs to 94 kgs. And my 50% of diet, I am with the naturals. I have not gone 100% of diet, but 50% I have converted. But definitely with this lot of support of Dr. Vikram sir and the things he has given me the goal, I will definitely come to 90 to 95% of my my lifestyle to naturals. So this how this has helped me. First of all, I reduced my weight. That is a secondary. The first thing is that I had a positive approach towards my life. I was desperate having this more weight. My anger was very much because I'm an entrepreneur and daily there are some other problems. So my anger automatically has come down. And in my house also, my wife was happy, my mother was happy because there is nothing to cook more. Because all the morning breakfast I used to have natural, afternoon lunch I used to have 50-50, and evening nothing. Out of 6 days, at least 3 to 4 days, I used to keep 16 to 17 hours fasting. That is helped me. Morning I was having so deep sleep. Previously, I used to get up at around 5:30. But after this fasting, I am daily getting up at 4. 4 is the maximum, 4:15. 4:15, I'll get up, go for a good walk. Morning, it will be very pleasant. And now the winter has started in Belgaum. So beautiful it is. We can talk to the trees. The way they blossoms is different. Definitely, it is a different experience. Everyone should have. The morning walk itself is a very good walk. And nothing is like that. After coming from that, I used to do yoga. And yoga session is 1 hour, is definitely mind blowing. We to do all the things what Dr. Vikram Dada sir has to tell. And definitely I used to follow the accordingly, and I used to come to my business. This has helped. My stamina has increased. My anger has come down. My weight has reduced. Everything positive approach towards life. So I'm thankful to this Dr. Vikram Dada, Saili Tai, and Pooja, my dear sister Pooja also helping me and motivating me. This has changed definitely in coming few months. I will definitely still be better and more enthusiastic. Thank you, sir. I will compete with this.
Thank you, Vinayak ji, for such a wonderful testimonial. I'm so glad you joined our program and you have found it to be beneficial. See,
Yes.
I don't wish to take the credit to myself, okay? Because I know that if we follow nature's laws, then nature will bless us with these things. So I'm not surprised at all. Anybody who can do this with discipline will achieve this result. It has to happen. It has happened in so many cases. See, fortunately, you don't have any lifestyle disease. Only problem you had was weight and a large size, but that will go down because nature's law says that we should not consume more than what is necessary. No animal, no creature other than human beings will consume more than necessary. No animal, no creature will collect things more than necessary. In one word, the first thing is called eating more than necessary means gluttony. Hoarding or collecting more things than necessary means hoarding. Okay, sangraha, sanchay. No creature does that other than animals. And no creature unnecessarily hurts another animal. So recently I saw a WhatsApp video where in the spider web, a small frog had got stuck. That frog was not the food for the spider because when the spider went to try to eat it, then the skin of that frog was poisonous for the spider. So then the spider said, this is not a proper food for me. So then he did not unnecessarily kill the frog. He actually let, the frog go because he broke the web around the frog and the little frog fell to the ground and he went away. So even in animal world, no animal will kill another animal or no animal will unnecessarily exploit another animal just for fun. Okay, so there is no rape unless we stop doing these three things: gluttony, hoarding, and rape. Can we call ourselves even animals? We are behaving worse than animals, isn't it? So if we want to become proper animals, we should not consume anything more than necessary. That is the first step. Then we will become proper animals. Then after that, we will see what it means to be a proper human being. So who is a proper human being? The one who realizes that he is a part of the whole. The entire world is within me and I am everywhere in the world. That is the ultimate teaching of the Gita. Right? Now you tell me, how do you experience the world or how do I experience the world? The world is experienced within me as images. The world is not experienced as it is. The world is experienced within all of us as images. So you are seeing me on this screen here right now. I'm not entering your head as I am. Only my image is entering your mind. Think of anything. Unless that impression happens in our mind, we don't even know that that thing exists. So for example, this is a phone, right? So this phone doesn't go in my head as it is. If I'm looking at the phone, then the image of the phone is formed within my retina and that image is read by my mind. Only then I know that there is a phone outside. Even my voice, Even though I'm talking to you, my voice is going from my mouth into this microphone, from here through my computer, through the satellite into your phone or your device. It is getting converted into sound. It is ringing in your ear. Again, within the ear, it is getting converted into some kind of waves that go into your brain. And then you understand that I'm talking to you. All of this is happening in real time. So we don't really pay attention to the process. Even though I appear to be talking to you from outside, unless you experience that within you, you don't know that I'm talking to you. So the world may be appearing to be happening outside, but it actually is experienced within us. So the entire world is actually within me. So therefore, this world is a mirror image of what is happening in my mind. So what's happening in my mind and this world, they are mirror images. Now I cannot change the world, but I can change my mind. If I change my mind, see, when I look at my own image in the mirror, what do? I don't put on makeup on the image in the mirror. I put on makeup on my own face, isn't it? So if I want to see a change in the world, I have to change myself first. If I change myself, if I purify myself, if I clarify my mind, then that change appears in the world automatically. The world is relative. The world is relative. You see, if I look at you and I consider myself to be your friend, then with that assumption or with that mentality, you become my friend, right? So my assumption that you are my friend, and based on that assumption that you are my friend, both are imaginary. So the world doesn't appear to us the way the world is. The world appears to us the way we are. So if we are pure from within, if we purify ourselves, then the world around us also gets purified. Impurity is not in the world. Impurity is in our own mind. So we have to clean that. That's the teaching of the Gita. I hope this is clear.
Yes, absolutely. So there's
Any other
someone.
comments?
So someone has asked, have you faced stressful situations in your life, and how do you handle them yourself?
Of course, I have faced stressful situations in my life. Who does not? Who does not? We expect things to happen in a certain way. They don't happen in that way. That is what causes stress. Okay. Therefore, I have gone through a lot of stress in my life. Lot of stress. I mean, this 1 hour is not sufficient for telling you all the different stressful situations I have gone through, but I have gone through a lot of stressful situations. Do I look stressed out? No, because I understand and I realize that this world is a mirror image of my own mind. This world appears to be, but it is not as it is. Okay, so we need to understand this. See, this is a much deeper topic, and this is clearly explained in the 15th chapter of the Gita. 15th chapter is the knowledge portion or the essence or the condensed knowledge of the Gita itself. So if we read the entire Gita, then initially, as we are identified with our body and we think of ourselves as this body, Gita teaches us to do karma. Karma with a spirit of service. Okay, that's what the Gita teaches us. Thereafter, when we realize that whatever work we are doing is happening not just because I'm doing it, but because a lot of other things are coming together to make sure that the result is happening. Okay, so if I do my own karma, the karma phala or the result of the action happens because of a lot of things coming together. So on that karma phala, I don't have any control. So that's why, the most misunderstood verse of the Gita is karmani eva adhikar aste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbhu mate sangha astu akarmani. That is what the Gita says. So we should do our duty. We have control only over our actions or our duty. We don't have any control over the results of that action. Most people misunderstand this as right over the results of the action. So So I have right only to my duty, but I don't have any right to my karma phala or the results of that action. No, that's not true. If we do something, then what happens because of that, we do have right over it, but we don't have control over it. So the word adhikara means both right and control. So if we understand the meaning of the word adhikara as control, then the meaning is crystal clear. See, people will tell you, if I'm the employer or I'm the oppressor and you are the oppressed, or I want to exploit you, then I will teach you that adhikara means right. So therefore you have the right to your duty to serve me, but you don't have the right to any results thereof. So therefore you be my slave. That's the way we have been taught this whole verse by people who wanted to oppress us. That's not correct. The correct interpretation and the correct meaning is I have control over my actions. I don't have control over the results of those actions because those actions happen only if nature, natural law is in sync with it. Okay. So if I jump from the 5th floor of a building, assuming that I'm going to fly like a bird, doesn't happen. I have control over whether I will jump or not. Once I jump, I will definitely fall down. That is the law of nature. So I have control over whether I jump or not. I don't have any control over what will happen after that. I will definitely fall to the ground and I will break my legs or break my head or get killed. That's what will happen. So we have control only over our actions. We don't have any control over the results of those actions. We need to understand these natural laws. If we understand the natural laws, then we will undertake only those actions which will give us the desired results. We of course have a right on the result of the action we have undertaken. Why will I not have the right? If I do something with a particular intention, but that intention has to be pure. Huh? See, the intention cannot be selfish all the time. The intention has to be in sync with the society and with the environment. So my desire for a certain fruit of my action should not be so selfish that it hurts others. Cannot be. Then it will be harmful overall because I'm a part of the whole. I'm not by myself, isn't it? See, my assumption that I am separate from others, that is another error. So initially in the Gita, it teaches us to do karma while I'm identified with the body. Then it teaches us to do that karma with focus, with single pointedness. So the karma portion of the Gita is 1, 2, 3, 4. The first chapter of the Gita is confusion. I don't know who I am. Second chapter is fundamental truths about our own existence, that we are not this body, we are pure spirit. And we can realize that by doing our swadharma or karma. Whatever comes to us naturally at any given point of time in our life and based on where we are. So I'm born in a family, so I have to serve my family. I'm born in this society, so I have to serve the society. The environment sustains me, so I have to serve the environment. So these are the 3 different duties I have always. Then I have to do it with focus. So that is the 6th chapter, which is the Dhyana Yoga, where I focus my mind. This is what we do as a yoga practice in our routine also. Thereafter, we realize that, okay, I'm not the body. Then I still am under the impression that I am a jiva or a separate soul, separate identity, a separate being apart from other beings. I work on that. Then I think of myself as a little being, and there is a universal being who is controlling this entire creation. And I start thinking of that being as God, Paramatma. Okay. Then I become reverential towards that being, and I start doing upasana. Okay. And then bhakti or a sense of devotion happens within my heart. But once I start inquiring who this universal being is, then the knowledge portion of the Gita starts in chapter 13, 14, 15. And by chapter 15, the knowledge portion is complete, in which in 20 condensed verses, the entire understanding of who this jiva is, what the world is, who God is, what we think is God, and who am I. All of those things are completely clearly described. if we understand those 20 verses, if we contemplate on those 20 verses, if we internalize those 20 verses, and if we live according to those 20 verses, our life is completely fulfilled. That is the ultimate goal of life. So although we do this business to guide people on their lifestyle from pure diet to pure mind to a successful enterprise or to a successful whatever, ultimate goal of human life is to realize who we are. So unless we do that, our life will not be fulfilled. So we take you in that direction. We lead you or we help you sharing our own experience so that you will be motivated to lead, to go, to walk in that direction and realize your full potential. That's the ultimate goal of life. So therefore, I would very strongly encourage people to take advantage of this. This is something that is available. So by all means, join the program and see how you feel. Don't believe me. Don't believe any of us. As I said in the beginning, don't believe anybody or anything. You should experience it yourself. Only then you will know the truth. All right, great. It has been a wonderful 1 hour spending time with you. Thank you all for attending this program. We shall meet again soon. I appreciate all of you coming here. Thank you.